All right, everybody. I'm sorry we're late. We did have some technical difficulties. We want to welcome everybody to the Official Business Podcast. OB, Theo, myself, I am here today. I have a young man who is on the screen with us, Mr. Hunter Rogers, and I wanted to talk with him, to invite him on to ask him some questions. I'm an owner of a townhome, nothing special, but the HOA is looking to do solar. And of course, if I can save a buck, not a problem. But I said, you know what? I need to get somebody on that knows about solar in and out, whether it's a tax credit or tax incentive, um, longevity, whether it's maintenance, and I found the right guy. He does own Core Solution. I have the hat, so we talked before he sent me the hat. Very nice hat. He sent me three hats: a white one, the blue one, and his color yellow. I might just wear that for the passion of having some nice hats. I love nice
Hey,
hats.
they look good on you. I'm not gonna lie.
I appreciate when you get older, you start losing your hair, so you wear hats more. You know, 21 years ago, I didn't own hats. Now I've got more hats than socks. You figure that one out. So that's where we're at with that. But I did want to bring you on, and I'm
Yeah,
going to introduce you again. His name is Hunter Rogers with Core Solutions. And hey, we're going to get into solar tonight. We're going to figure out what's going on with this Green New Deal. And
yeah,
we both know that the government is pushing this. And whenever the government is pushing it something, we have our own motive of thinking what's good or bad, but there's so much money that they're backing behind this. I think this is a win-win
yeah.
for all the citizens.
There's been a $28 billion bill passed, and so just in Texas, right? So I think there's going to be four phases where they raise everybody's electric rates over the next 3 or 4 years. So everybody's rates are going up. In the past 25, 30, 50 years, it's been anywhere between 4 and 7% rate increases. Um, this year, we're looking at 12, 15, 20%. It's going to be incredible. We're looking at $1,000 electric bills, and people don't know what.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, and that's in Texas, that's a large part because of the winter storms we had and all the ice. So Greg Abbott passed a bill where all the power companies had to upgrade their infrastructure,
Hmm.
but somebody's got to pay for that, right? So it's all being passed down to the customer.
Wow. Okay, I got you. See, and here's the thing, and of course it gets super hot down there, so I know the energy bills are going to be astronomical, right? Um,
And Texas didn't even really become populated until AC became invented.
Wow. Wow. You know what? I could understand that. I know 20 years ago, first time I lived up here before, and I first moved up here, we didn't even, most places didn't have air conditioners in it, especially apartment units. They didn't have it because it didn't get that hot here. Um, Most of your homes, unless they were over $500,000 homes, they all had window AC units, right? It just didn't get that hot here. But over the last 10 years, the heat is cranking up, right? And we're seeing such a surge in energy bills. I will be the first to say where I'm residing right now, even in the summertime, man, I can just crack the windows open and sleep with no problem. But in the daytime, it's miserable. And we've never had that here. So I think a
It
lot of
seems like it's
Mhm.
getting colder and it's getting hotter. The extremes are getting more intense.
Correct. Correct. That is true. That is true. It is true. And I will be the first to say I favor more on the cold side than the hot side.
Yeah.
But pick your poison, personal preference to those that want it. So
Both take electricity.
yeah, there you go. There you go.
But
So
anyways, so the
mhm.
whole idea of solar, right, is you got to produce as much or a little bit more than you consume. Okay, that is the bottom line of solar. Once you do that, you get your electric bill to zero, or you start building up a small credit.
Mhm.
Once you can either pull from that credit in times of extreme usage. That's what happens to a lot of people. It really just depends on who their electric company is and what their net metering policy is. Okay. So the reason that's important is because the electric company literally has to buy that power back from you. Okay. If they don't credit you or buy that power back in some way, you're getting screwed.
Gotcha. Now, when you say net power and credit, right now, how does that work,
Net
right?
metering. Net metering. So net metering policy is showing consumption versus production, right?
Hmm.
So net metering shows you its contractual agreement that shows you how much you're getting paid per kilowatt hour that you're producing from those solar panels on top of your home. So you
Gotcha.
have to produce as much or a little bit more than you're consuming kilowatt hour wise.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Now,
Yes.
now let me ask you this. Now, how long does it take to install these panels? And I kind of want to ask. Well, let me back it up. Let me do it this way, right? Um, what got you into this area of installing? Say, hey, I'm going to do my own company and do this. How was that journey, right? Because you just don't wake up one day and become a solar panel installer and know the ins and out of what the government provides, what the government doesn't provide, tax incentive, all that, right? So how do we kind of get to that point to where we're at now?
Yeah. So, excuse me. Sorry. I worked for Raytheon for about, I want to say 4 or 5 years. And then COVID hit. But I worked for a very special part of Raytheon. It was a supply chain. Um, they really created that job for me. And whenever they started cutting costs, I was one of the first jobs to go. So once that happened, I actually, I got on Indeed like anybody else would, and I actually found it was a brokerage job. And the job description was kind of vague. It was about solar panels, and my dad had solar panels from Solar City. And I really like uh, the solar system and stuff like that, so I thought it'd be a good fit. And I showed up to this interview, and there was a bunch of really good people there, and the support system was incredible, and they taught me a lot. I had I had never done sales before, but at Raytheon, I proved the return on investment for different supply chain projects for the company. Right, so we would take different technologies, test them in production, and determine if they could save us money or not. And I reported on all that. Um, so that's essentially what I try to do for my customers is,
Gotcha.
is just show them that it's cheaper to buy these solar panels than it is to buy electricity from the electric companies.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
I got you.
on
Now,
investment.
somebody like me would often think, if I got solar panels, I want an EV vehicle, you
Well,
know.
another thing about solar is you
Hmm.
can lock in your rates, right? So I
Oh,
like to explain to people that solar is almost like insurance. You know exactly what you're going to pay, and you can calculate that into your budget, whatever you call it, and be done with it. Once you pay it
gotcha.
off, you have no bills, and there's a 30% tax credit.
Yeah,
There's also some of these loans, you don't make a payment for the first 18 months, and anything you pay during that first 18 months goes directly towards the principal. So
oh,
whenever that 18 months comes, they re-amortize, they
hmm,
re-decide the loan, and that's the payments you get.
correct.
So they're just making it super easy, and they want people to go solar.
Yeah. Now, with getting these panels, right? Is there a lot of maintenance required after you have them? You know,
Zero
um,
maintenance. So they've
zero
got,
maintenance.
yeah, they've got, unless something extreme happens,
Hmm.
they're covered with pine needles or something like that. Uh, they're
Right.
they're covered in a hydrophobic coating. You should never have to get out there and clean them.
Got you. Got you. And
But
I think that would
but
be the
for
question. Hmm.
for the customer's comfort of mind, we have an app that every solar panel system is connected to, so you can monitor not only what your entire solar panel system is doing, but what each individual panel is doing. Right, and the panels that I use are actually segmented into 8 different parts. So if one part gets cloudy, it doesn't shut the whole panel down. On traditional solar panels, one part of it gets cloudy, it shuts the whole panel down.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I got you. Because I mean that I guess that's something that I know from my point of view on my end, I would be thinking like, because I am in a snow area state, right? And how would that affect where versus damaging the panels or anything like that? How would that work out? That's kind of really what I wanted to know when it
So
comes to
since
that.
you're attached to your home, so they take 120-mile-an-hour straight line winds,
Mm,
90-mile-an-hour hail. That's 2.5 inches. So that's 3 times terminal velocity. Um, and so if there is some kind of damage, act of God, it's a homeowner's insurance claim because they are connected to your home. So
correct.
so they pay you to take them off. They pay you to replace the panels, or any damage done, and then they, pay you to put them back on.
Oh, okay. I got you. Got you. So it's basically covered uh, for at least for a short time with the warranty.
Oh, no, it's fully covered.
Oh,
Yeah.
got you. I got you. All right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Now, let me ask you this, because I think just talking to different people, and when I was speaking with a neighbor about saying, "Hey, I want to talk to a guy about solar," and we was talking about what the HOA is trying to do. Um, his question was, if he has an EV car, um, would that be feasible? Using the solar panels and the electricity from that to charge his car.
So not only is it feasible, I recommend it for
Hmm.
people. You know, I like electric vehicles as a second vehicle, though. You
Correct.
they're great for city driving. If you've got to go less than 50, 60 miles either way
Hmm.
every day, for work or something, they're
Yeah.
great. They're great. Terrible road trip vehicles, though. So, so and it only takes 3 panels to offset an EV vehicle for the entire year.
Wow.
So yeah, exactly. So you're essentially getting free gas. um,
Okay.
and on top of that, there's tons of state and federal incentives for buying an electric vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah. I know we have the $7,500 state incentive um,
Yeah.
that they do. And now I'm gonna ask for this point. Of course, I'm in the trucking community, so we do have a lot of truckers that pop in and out here. Um, if I wanted to get a small AC unit, which they call a parking AC unit. And some of them do come with solar panels where you put it on the truck, top of the truck, and the battery. There's a battery there. Would that be something feasible for somebody that owns a truck? Right, you're driving it all day. The panels on top. You do have the battery that is being charged, not to drive the truck. This is just for a separate AC unit inside the truck. Would that be something that guys would think about? Because we have a solar panel guy. So somebody wanted
Is
me
it a
to ask
van?
that.
Is it a van?
No, it's not a van. It's an actual tractor trailer.
Yeah.
And what it
So it's
is, some
covered. Does it have a
yes,
roof?
some of the companies put the solar panel on the roof.
Yeah.
Let's say
So
6 by 6 feet. Hmm.
the one way you would determine that is you got to determine the draw
Hmm.
of the AC unit, and then you got to get a battery big enough to store that amount of power for that amount of time.
Yeah, yes,
So that would be your limitation is roof
mhm.
space.
Correct. And a lot of these units they do come with the battery itself, right? I've
So,
seen them for sale. Hmm.
but I'd be shocked if a tractor trailer wasn't producing enough electricity to help offset charge that battery.
Oh, you got a
And
point.
Edison Motors. Have you guys heard of Edison Motors?
Yes, yes, I've been following those guys and what they're doing, which is pretty awesome. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
gonna lie.
So they got a. I love hybrids. They got a really, really good diesel electric setup,
Hmm.
and they've even got a conversion for older, first generation 1-ton pickups.
Correct.
You can,
Correct.
yeah, they're pretty. That's a pretty cool company. I really
Yeah,
like.
I really been following those guys and seeing everything because, like I said, no,
About more hybrids.
yeah, yeah, and I think in order for the people to get comfortable with this new green incentive that the country's pushing, we're gonna have to have a lot of hybrid, because hey, let's face it, we're not getting sidetracked for solar. We're gonna come right back to it. the average person when they crank up a car, they hey, I want to put gas in it, or I want to feel like it's a real car, right? I love Teslas, so whenever I rent a car, I get a Tesla. I'm not gonna lie, and because they have the fast chargers, but I think that will be the better way to go. Is having more hybrids out there and everything
So,
because like
have you
mhm.
heard what Ford is doing?
No, what are they doing? Because I know you was explaining
Yeah.
certain things about what they're doing with their EV vehicles, and I guess since we're on the solar panel and talking about going electric and EV, any information you have on the EVs, please share. Because I know there's a lot of people who are thinking about getting them, but they're just on the fence, and I will listen to you
Yes.
from there.
So Ford has licensed Tesla chargers, and in order to incentivize people buying their electric cars with the Tesla compatible chargers, they've put fast charging stations at every single one of their dealerships.
Wow.
So you can travel all the way, across the country. You stop at any Ford dealership and you can fast charge your Tesla or your Ford.
Mm. Oh
Anything that
man.
Tesla charging for.
Yeah, and now that makes a big difference, right? As someone who's like I said, I love the EVs. I've rented so many. I made a mistake in renting one that wasn't a Tesla, right? And I understood that, but what I didn't understand was there's not a lot of superchargers out there like Tesla has, right? So I'm thinking, okay, it took me an hour to get 9% charge. I'm like, man, this is why I want my Tesla because
You're
with a
there all
Tesla, 30 minutes, you're at 90%. You're out of there, And
So, did you know
mhm,
it takes as long for you to charge to 80% on a car battery as it does for you to charge it from 80 to 100%?
wow. No, I
Yeah.
didn't know
So,
that.
so whenever you're charging an electric car and you're on the move like that, you really only want to get it to 80%. That's the most efficient way.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I wasn't sure about that. And but
Most
I
people,
just yeah, and I just noticed I think the main problem, and like I said, we're tying all this in together because there are people who do want to know about electric cars and solar panels because I don't know about anybody else. We all want to save a buck, right? At the end of the day. And
yeah,
like I
you
said,
can lease an electric car for 20, 25 grand,
mm,
get the tax credit on it, and charge it for free at home.
yeah, that's the whole point of me asking you because one of the neighbors was asking me that, like, okay, all right, if
Yeah,
I get this Tesla and we got the solar, how will that work? And of course, I think we'll have to go through homeowner association about whether they'll let him put that charging station in there because Tesla might have it set up on the app and people are trying to come up and get charged the car. I don't know how they would set that up, but at the same time, yeah, that the main thing the problem we're having up here is, of course, we got plenty of Tesla charging stations. The problem is the smaller ones, that just take forever. But what you're saying, what
well,
Ford is doing, it's going to
yeah,
be a
well,
game
not
changer.
to mention
Mhm.
what Ford is doing, but imagine just having a Tesla fast charger at your home. I think we can do that for between $1,000 and $1,500.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, if you go solar, we can do it at the same time, make it seamless, put your whole home on a surge protector, and provide that additional assurance.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, for somebody like me, because I've been thinking about maybe getting electric vehicle because I drive 8.6 miles to work one way. So it doesn't cost me a lot to go, even with gas. It doesn't cost a lot for me to go back and forth to work. But
See, I live
thinking
in
about,
Texas, right? But if I lived in a cold environment like you, I don't know if your car ever even warms up before you get to work because my girlfriend is the same issue. She works at a college, maybe 3 miles away, so her car doesn't even warm up before she gets to work. So it's causing all kinds of emissions problems, exhaust problems. We're lucky we live in Texas though, because otherwise the motor probably would have never broke in and the seals would have never expanded.
yeah, I mean, I will say this: by the time I get to work, if it wasn't for the heated seat it'll still be a little chilly in there because you're right. It takes a minute.
Yeah, yeah,
It does take a minute to warm it up because I start the car, I jump in it, and I go. Right. We're not really taught up here. Well, let the car just sit and run until it gets hot. No, you
that
start
doesn't
it
work.
up. There you go. You waste more gas and kill the engine actually because the engine's at idle. So you better off just letting it go. So that's what I do. So you're right. By the time I do get to work, it's still a little nippy in there, but
Right, right.
um,
Well, so for a lot of vehicles, especially Subarus,
yeah,
that causes a lot of problems. So
correct.
uh, that's just
Gotcha.
one. And plus, there's the thing about so all of my yard equipment also. I don't know if you've ever owned a home, but having to deal with a weed eater that's been sitting in your garage all winter long after that fuel's been sitting in there is terrible. So all my yard equipment is electric. All of that is free. I charge it at home. Um, Not having to go to the gas station to get gas and then mix the oil and then crank start it and
Yeah.
just all that kind of stuff makes electric real easy
Yep.
and you can do it for free.
I tell you, I have a friend. She lives in Michigan, and she has the electric lawnmower. She has I believe she has the Roby, and
Yeah,
very. You know what? She actually was talking to me while she was cutting the grass, and she has a big yard, and the battery lasts about an hour and 15 minutes, which is
I bet it
more
works.
than enough.
I
You
bet it
know,
works.
and
I
yeah,
wouldn't want to mow longer than that.
wow. What I asked her though, I said, well, look at the battery because I said you may just have a regular 6 amp. Because one thing about with electric, if you want better battery, you're gonna pay more for a bigger battery. So we talked
Never.
about that, and shout out to Roby. If y'all want to do some promotion over here, we will do it because I know several people who has a lot of Roby um, electric tools that work perfect. I mean, just
They work
perfect.
great. Like
Yeah,
I've never had a problem. I've used a couple of their little handheld compressors for tires. They work great.
correct. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I
So,
really like Ego. Have you ever heard of Ego?
yes, yes.
So they have what's called an Ego power station, right? So you can take your batteries from your yard equipment, slap it onto this thing, and like it
Hmm.
acts like you can put up to four of them. You
Correct.
can use it as a generator with those batteries. It's pretty cool.
Mm.
And then
And well,
go
go ahead.
ahead.
Not to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just saying I can charge it with a solar panel, and it's pretty neat product.
Yeah. And here's the thing: the reality is everything is going electric, whether you want it or not. Everything is going electric, right? I've even noticed
It's
the
been voted in. Yeah,
yeah, pretty much. I've even noticed the push to sell electric generators, right? I've got two generators. I've got a 4,500 watt generator, gas generator. I use when I own the truck for welding and all that kind of stuff. And I have a 2,000 watt enclosed generator that I used to use. And they're both great generators. But speaking with a gentleman at the store a couple of months ago, he said, listen, man, these electric ones are just as good. And I actually thought about getting one just in case there is a power outage, at the place. And hey, I can still have my power with an electric generator and solar power one at that. So
so
it's
yeah, I kind of did it. Is the reason I got the power station, the Ego power station, is
mhm,
just because all my power tools they already use the same batteries. So I had a bunch of the batteries sitting around, and this tool really just enabled me to use it as a generator, and it's also just like a really good charger. So
correct.
it really just I think Ryobi probably has one, DeWalt has one. You
Yeah,
just got to get whatever tool, whatever. To me, what makes sense is whatever you have the most compatible batteries, get that product. But I think
correct.
they work great, but they don't last as long as you expect. I will
Yeah,
say.
now that is true. That is true.
So it
But
depends on what you're trying to run. They're great
yeah,
for on the beach, run on a radio,
hmm,
on a fan. But if you've got really still got stuff to run, definitely want to offset it with some kind of different technology.
correct, correct. And I will say this, of course. What's buying these electric tools that are powered like that by batteries, and of course, you say you can charge everything off solar. Is
Yeah,
it's
ego. I
pick
love
Yeah,
it's a,
but what I like to tell people, hey, listen, now it is pick your poison. You get what you pay for. So if you think you're just gonna go to Amazon and buy something with a name you've never heard of and it's gonna last forever, no, you're gonna be charging it all the time, all the time. So if I had to recommend, of course, Roby, if you're listening, I would get, I would try to go with 90% Roby or Dewalt. They have a name that's legendary. You
yeah,
can go anywhere, any store, whether it's a Walmart, Lowe's, Home
much more.
Depot. You're there. You go anywhere you can get batteries and accessories for those particular brands. So I would always push those. So now let me ask you this: we know you're located in Texas, and are you able to travel outside of Texas and do work, or you're centralized and just staying in Texas?
Oh no, we go all over the U.S. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, yeah, we can install literally anywhere. The
hmm,
main thing it depends on is your home, right? So every single home is different, and your home
correct.
will tell me if it's good for solar, right? So if I can't save you money, I don't like to do business. Um,
Correct,
the
correct. And,
biggest,
and and I think that's the not to cut you off. I think that's the problem that we've seen up here, and that's why there's such a major lawsuit with a particular company. Gosh, I wish I'd have wrote it down because I spoke with the gentleman about it the other day. And is that they just took the money through these panels on people's houses because they knew they was getting a check. The people were excited about getting it, but like you said, the house wasn't set up for it. And here's one of the things with having solar panels. A lot of people think in the Northeast it doesn't work because, like I said, we are cold at certain times of the year. Um, would it be a case of everybody's got trees in their yard, and we know trees block the sun, right? Uh, how would that affect? Because that's some of the questions a couple of people was asking me when I told them I was going to be doing the interview. Um, how does that really affect having the panels? Which I was like, I don't think you got trees that are that tall that's covering up your whole uh, your whole roof. But they wanted me to ask the question.
so we have really good AI software, and
Hmm.
it'll tell us if those trees are a problem or not. Um, if they are and they do need to be removed, that is something that I inform the customers and give them an option for removal or trimming them. But like I said, every single home is different. If your house is surrounded by trees, we need the sun to produce that energy. So it's kind of a common sense thing. But if there is tree removal needed, a lot of times we can get it included in the solar loan. On top of that, generally anything that makes your home more efficient, or if your home even needs a new roof, we can get that included in the solar loan and get you the 30% tax credit on all of it.
Correct. 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 I see what you say. And basically, looking back at the numbers and the way I equate it, because you said this, the power company can buy the power back from you. Um, so over a course of a 15-year lifetime, if you're looking at what you're saving, and this is based on if they're buying the power back from you, then you are looking at almost $20,000 to $30,000 a year, not a year, total savings over that course of that time if the power
Oh, a
company is
lot of
buying it
times,
back from
a
you.
lot
Hmm.
of times it's much more than that. If you actually
Wow.
do math over, you got a
Hmm.
4 to 7 increase year after year versus locking in your rates. A lot of people are saving $1.5 million over a 25-year span.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
the ROI is undeniable every single
Correct.
time.
Correct. Yeah.
So imagine if you could lock in your gas prices 25 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, and
You
up
know,
here we still burn oil
well,
for
just
heat.
that's how you explain. So your rates, right? They're always going up. Gas is a lot more expensive than it was 25 years ago, right?
Correct.
So everything's going up. Imagine if you could lock in your rates for 25 years Then you could refinance that loan, get a lower interest rate. There's just so many options for this solar stuff, and they're incentivizing it so much. And
Hmm.
it really doesn't matter if you're on board or not, because legislation is passed to make this stuff affordable and to incentivize people to do it heavily.
Correct, correct, and I think that that is it's a good thing because,
Well, and
like I said, hmm
I'll also say this, right? So I offset people. I get their electric bill to zero with these solar panels, right?
hmm
So the electric company still has to make the same amount of money, correct?
correct.
So who do you think's paying more?
Or an electric company,
No, the
I'm assuming.
people who don't have solar.
Oh yeah, yeah. There you go.
Yeah, yeah. Because the people that have solar have no electric bill,
Yeah,
right?
that is true. That is
Electric
true.
company has to make the same amount of money,
Yeah,
so the rates are going to go up.
got you. I got you. Yeah, and that's one of the things, man. That, like I said, we all want to save a buck here and there. If it's all possible, we want to save a buck. And like I said, I wanted to bring you on, just ask some questions. Of course, the email's down at the bottom. Hummer Loves America at gmail.com. If anybody want to reach out to him, he can come to your state, no matter where you are in the lower 48. I don't think he's going to Alaska, but I guess, hey, if you got to go, you got to go. Uh,
There's an I'll go.
yeah. Well, if you get this senator to go to Hawaii, let me know. I would tag along as a worker. To say, as long as you can pay the trip, I don't even ask to get paid just to go there.
Deal.
If all possible. Yeah. So, but yeah, like I said, I wanted to bring you on, ask all those questions, and I think we've covered everything. And like I said, for those who are on the fence, check out the company Core Solutions. Get the email, hunterlovesamerica at gmail.com. Uh, watch the replay if you need to get the email again, or just contact me or OB. We'll make sure we'll send you the email. That's not a problem. Because the reality is, whether we want it or not, the solar is coming, and you might as well go ahead and jump on it now, um, while all the incentives are still there. You know, because one
Yeah,
thing about the government, when they give you these incentives, you better jump on them now because they will be out there so long, and you don't even realize the incentives are no longer there. And you say, "Well, I paid all this money for my panels," and while your neighbor's like, "Well, I've had them 10 years. Why didn't you get X, Y, and Z?" Because you was on the fence or you didn't even discuss it with anybody.
Theo,
Um,
and
you know,
Theo, that is why it's so important that people need to be careful about who they do business with and make informed decisions. So,
correct.
if nothing else, that's what I hope people understand.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, it's one of those where we try to, as I like to say, give a little bit of information. I don't know a lot about them at all, but I will say I'm one who's all about the Green New Deal. I'm one who's all about trying to move in natural resources versus tearing the ground up. This, that, and the third. And of course, I know people will say, "Well, if we move off of this, it's going to be jobs lost." But you're basically explaining to us that it's not job loss because this is a revenue producing industry where they don't have enough workers. And I think it's messaging, not getting it out there, um, and everything, And before you go, I wanted to ask you this one question. I was trying to get some layout right on the computer, and it's just acting up today. I don't know what's going on. Um, the windmills. Um, do you have any knowledge on the windmill farms? Like I said, we have one in Massachusetts, and it's the first one. It's a smaller one. They said it's going to be able to cover electricity for up to 450. I want to say 450 houses. I don't want to say 450,000. I think it's 450. They'll be able to cover full electricity for those. And I'm one who believes, hey, if you live near water, how much wind is there. You know, um,
Yeah,
n-
I
mhm.
totally understand that. And I see how much power the wind has, and I felt it. Um, the one thing about solar panels, they have no moving parts. With windmills, you have to service them. They may
Correct.
be good for a year, 2 years, But with these solar panels, I can put a 25-year warranty on them with a 25-year production guarantee. You cannot do that with anything else. The comfort that that provides for it's guaranteed. So if it doesn't produce 95% of what I say, you literally get paid for it, or we replace the panels, whichever's cheaper.
Correct. Correct. And like I said, that's why I think.
That assurance is,
Mhm.
you always know exactly what you're going to pay.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I don't know anybody who don't want to save a buck.
Yep.
um, Especially if you live in a state, a high energy state. Of course, California is the highest energy state next to North Carolina, and I don't know if they're going to ever be able to get their energy costs down. But at the same time, the
Probably not.
technology's here, is coming. Some don't like it, but I think we explained it pretty good. Where people are going to start looking a little more in detail to where we at and what they want to do. Do you want to save a buck or do you want to give a buck? It's not a hard decision, because at the end of the day, you're still going to have to pay to keep them lights on. So
You're either renting your power or you owning it.
correct, correct, and plus
Just
the
simple.
power company be buying it back from you. So that's an incentive that I don't think a lot of people are looking at. So, but hey, listen, before we go, is there anything um, you want to add? And of course, you're welcome to come back anytime if you got stuff going on. It's not a problem. Um, Always feel free to come back.
Hey,
Even if you want to ride, have you show your electric weed if you want to show that.
and we need. So I've got the chainsaw. No, well,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
another episode.
Well, as long as Roby know that we're doing that.
Yeah.
So but yeah, anything you want to say before we get out of here? Like I said, I didn't want to hold your time up too much and
Uh,
everything. And
just it. This solar panel game is still real young.
mhm,
It's the wild, wild west out there. Be careful
correct.
who you do business with. That's all I
Yeah.
gotta say.
All right. Well, listen, y'all, you heard it from Mr. Hunter Rogers. Like I said, the email is scrolling across hunterlovesamerica@gmail.com. Core Solutions. For those if you don't hit a replay, and hey, hit that like button from where you once came in. And hey, listen, if you can't reach him, when you think about it later on, you can always try to get a hold of me at OB. We will always be in contact with Mr. Hunter here. And listen, I want to thank everybody for coming in. Of course, the guests. Um, Flying Colors came by, Calvin Leak, Rob BX, uh, Gunnar Johnson came by. I was thankful to see him come in there. We had a couple more people. And hey, we're gonna do it again. But until then, y'all, we're out. Everybody stay blessed. Y'all know what I say, stay prayed up, and we're gonna do it all over again. Everybody out.